to Tales of Olympus, the podcast where we dive into the wildest, most dramatic, and sometimes just downright unbelievable stories from Greek mythology. I'm your host, Ariel, and today we are continuing our Odyssey series, and this is episode 3 already. We only have 2 more episodes left until the grand finale. Now, let's begin the story. Why don't we start? So, we've survived the pigpens of Circe, but now we're heading into the darkest chapter of the journey. To get the directions he needs to reach Ithaca, Odysseus has to do the unbearable. Sail to the edge of the world and enter the land of the dead. The ship drifts through a perpetual, freezing mist into the land of the Sirens, a place where the sun never shines and the air feels like a wet wool. Odysseus leads his terrified crew onto the dark Asian shore. Following Circe's specific ritual, he digs a square trench with his bronze sword and pours in offerings, first milk and honey, and then sweet wine, and finally clear water sprinkled with white barley. He promises the dead that once he returns to Ithaca, he will sacrifice his best heifer to them. But the moment the ritual is complete, the silence of the beach is shattered. From the cracks in the earth and the shadows of the mist, the ghosts of the dead begin to swarm. They rise like gray smoke, brides who died young, old men who lived too long, and warriors still wearing their blood-stained armor. They chatter and squeal like bats, drawn to the life force of the offering. Odysseus, showing that legendary big-brain villain, stands at the edge of the trench with his sword drawn. He has to stay strong and keep the frantic spirits back, because he is waiting for one specific ghost, the blind prophet, Teiresias. Finally, after what seemed like hours, the golden spirit of Teiresias drifts forward, holding a staff. He looks at Odysseus with eyes that see the future better than any living man. He gives the king of Ithaca a warning that will haunt him for the rest of his life. He tells him that Poseidon is furious because he blinded his son, the Cyclops Polyphemus. Plus, go listen to episode 1, Polyphemus, the blind Cyclops. Anyways, Teiresias tells the crew that if they touch the sacred cattle of the sun god on the island of Ithaca, every single man will be lost. The ship will be lost and Odysseus will reach home alone, only to find his palace filled with enemies. But before the ritual ends, Odysseus sees a ghost he wasn't prepared for. His own mother, Anticlea. She was alive when he left for the Trojan War 20 years ago. Seeing her there, a shadow of her former self breaks his heart. He tries to embrace her 3 times, but every time he reaches out, his arms pass through her like a dream. She tells him she died of a broken heart waiting for him to come home. Then, the ghosts of the great heroes appear. Agamemnon, who was murdered by his own family when he came home, warns him to not trust anyone when he returns. And the mighty Achilles. Achilles didn't care about his fate. He told Odysseus he'd rather be a poor servant on earth than the king of all the dead. The weight of the underworld begins to pull at Odysseus' soul. He realizes that glory means nothing if you aren't allowed to enjoy it with your family. With the prophet's warning ringing in his ears, and the voices of the dead fading into his head, and the mist, he leads his men back to the ship. They row away from the land of the dead as fast as they can, heading back towards the light. but knowing that the hardest part of the voyage is still waiting for them in the waves. While Odysseus is fighting ghosts and monsters back home in Ithaca, things are getting messy. A crowd of over 100 suitors moved into the palace, eating all the food and demanding that Queen Penelope picks a new husband. They think Odysseus is dead, but Penelope hasn't given up hope. To keep them away, she's using some big brain strategy of her own. Penelope tells the suitors she will choose a husband only after she finishes weaving a brilliant shroud for Odysseus. Every day, she sits at her great loom in the light of the sun, weaving a beautiful, intricate cloth. The suitors watch her work, waiting for the day she finishes so that they can take the throne. But they don't know their secret. Penelope's secret. Well, not yet. She is as clever as her husband. Every night, by the light of a single torch, she carefully unpicks every thread she wove during the day. For 3 whole years, the shroud never gets finished. She's literally weaving and unweaving time itself to keep her family safe. But tonight, she's exposed. One of her maids betrays her and tells the suitors the truth. They burst into her room and catch her with the unraveled thread in their hands. The clock has run out. Penelope is forced to finish the shroud, and the suitors are losing their patience. The trap is closing in on Ithaca, just as a new one opens up for Odysseus at the sea. Odysseus remembers the warning from Circe. The Sirens sit in a meadow filled with rotting bones of men who couldn't resist their song. To survive, he orders his crew to take blocks of beeswax and knead them until they are soft. One by one, he plugs their ears until they are completely deaf. But Odysseus wants the knowledge the Sirens promise. He orders his men to tie him from the mast with heavy ropes and one. No matter how much I beg, do not untie me. As they glide closer, the song begins. It's a harmony that feels like it's being sung directly into Odysseus' soul. They sing about his victory at Troy and his longing for Penelope. The music is so beautiful, it feels like a physical rope pulling his heart towards the water.
Untie me! I have to go to them! They know the way! Set me free!
To the crew, Odysseus looks like he's lost his mind. They can't hear a note, so they just see their king fighting the ropes. They follow his big brain orders and wrap the ropes tighter. The ship rows past the flowery meadow, and the music slowly fades. Odysseus survived. He's one step closer to Penelope, but next, he has to choose between a 6-headed monster and a giant whirlpool. Don't go anywhere! And that, my dear listeners, is it for today's episode. And I'm sorry there are no guests today, but I am unfortunately sick again. So